ざかしい貴様を
on the track. Godlow on the track. Yeah. Yeah, jacket, drippy, I'm strolling right by into town. Rolling with me, my crew will be making the rounds. We the big leagues, echoes we're bringing the sound. Shoes on the ground, just a recruiter, I know I'll be making it proud. Got the hair like grease lighting, stay trendy like I'm Tony. Yo, Rohan, I'm rewriting your injuries and broken bones. Ladies see me as Romeo, show us they wanna copy me. And some may say I'm overblow, I say I won the lottery. I'm sucking the coins like I'm reaping the harvest. I'm an artist, your standard's garbage. I dunk on scrubs like I'm Giannis. See these vermin in my targets are more than I'm cracked up to be. Bullets that I'm blasting, leaving holes like bad company. Just up by blood, but there's blood in the ward. Insult my hair and you're bound to get slaughtered. I don't take orders, keep on moving forwards. Try and break this diamond, then I'll be like Dora Dora.
I've been built for the spotlight. Try to bite my look, but it's not mine. Built hard like a rock, I rise to the top. I'm not gonna stop. I've been feeling enlightened lately. Feel like I might go crazy. Only one of us can come out safely. And I've been shining like diamonds, baby. I'll be shining like diamonds, so bright nobody pass by. Yeah. Feeling so fly, yeah. I can stretch my arm and touch the sky. Yeah. Nobody better hit my line. Take a look at yourself, man, I'm way too fine. I'll be shining like diamonds. Better hope you're on my good side.
Yasser, I'm making spaces, I wave my hands. Door to heaven, I'll read your face and then change your plans. There's a killer in the city, so we'll take a stand. I'll bring the light to Kira till he's taking L's at my command. Hiya Suji, I ain't looking for a new disguise. Who's this guy cruising by? Damn, I'm looking super fly. Who's the tie? You and I share a twisted deadly fate. Do or die, brutalized, killing queens like Henry VIII. Highway, can I catch me? These are high stakes, up the ante. When I'm irate, then my hands free. When the ice age like it's act 3 coming at me. It's a tag team, make a statement like a Banksy on the pavement. I'm an athlete, then I'm red hot like a battery. I can't see these haters cause these babies are invisible. I star upon the highway, how I'm feeling irresistible. No enigma, you're paper thin, I keep on working miracles. Making sure you bite the dust, your sins are unforgivable.
I've been built for the spotlight. Try to bite my look, but it's not mine.
Yeah.
Built hard like a rock, I rise to the top. I'm not gonna stop. I've been feeling enlightened lately.
That's right.
Feel like I might go crazy.
No doubt.
Only one of us can come out safely. And I'll be shining like diamonds, baby. I'll be shining like diamonds, so bright nobody pass by. Yeah. Feeling so fly, yeah. I can stretch my arm and touch the sky. Yeah. Nobody better hit my line. Take a look at yourself, man, I'm way too fine. I'll be shining like diamonds. Better hope you're on my good side.
Two-Face, I can feel the demon in me hollow. Too late, gripping my freedom, hard to swallow. I don't follow, I don't wallow. Guard from evil like Apollo. Flow from my veins is the energy letting me fight for myself and the power I've borrowed. Curse, come on, do your worst. Bait like Unamaki when I'm laying down a verse. Burst, sorcery flows are electrical. When I'm divergent, don't need to strike first. Don't need a nurse. Hit where it hurts. Slaughter these demons like Tanjiro. I'll leave a ghost in the dirt. I don't gotta stop, no breather, my, cause I only need a shot to beat you. Weaker, mega me run with the creatures. Watch I expand my domain like I'm Caesar. Travel no visa, they want a box like it's bento. Give him a siege, embarrass the right ratio them like Kento. On the recovery, so gonna keep him in custody. Toto, you ain't got no subtlety, act like a panda so you cannot fuck with me. I bring a double team, don't call it puppetry, eat him no gluttony. I keep on testing the peaks of ability. Yoga make corpses quite literally, act like I'm Gojo, the limits are passing infinity. I be walking with the dead. Got a monster and he's swimming in my head. I'll be walking with the dead. Take a minute to reflect. I'll be riding on the edge. I'll be walking with the dead. Got a monster and he's swimming in my head. I'll be walking walking with the dead. Take a minute to reflect, I'll be riding on the edge.
Double identity, I got the enemy running the enemy, wanting to kill everyone in vicinity, leaving them holy like they in the Trinity, following bad thoughts. Better believe that I'm getting the digits, I gotta surpass God. I'm in my zone when I'm riding infinity, swerving the mask off. Pause they future to send a message like I'm Gojo. I don't miss, I am Stephen from the logo. Young body, just a vessel for my old soul. Kept the flow hot like the kettle, where the Joe go? You don't want war with me, it'll be your defeat. The way I pour these words on beat, that shit like sorcery. All these eyes on me like Pac, I'm so disorderly. My heart so black, the doctor told me it's minority. Old age, but I got next. Got a hot head when I rage, every op dead. Tried to take my life away, I had to tell them not yet. I'm expanding my domain like I bought a .net. Richie.
I be walking with the dead. Got a monster and he's swimming in my head. I'll be walking with the dead. Take a minute to reflect, I'll be riding on the edge. I'll be walking with the dead. Got a monster and he's swimming in my head. I'll be walking with the dead. Take a minute to reflect, I'll be riding on the edge. Yeah. Sasuke, however your shadow to the Kage's arcane. Lighting in my hand, increase your heart rate. Arms raised, burning up like Dante. Turning like the Scarface, alerted to the river, the finale. Bam bam, leave him in a spiral, lose a marquee. Grand plan, all seeing eye Illuminati. Man, seekers of my punches, Fibonacci. Snakes, they repeating like they're in an army.
Hey, my clan coup d'etat. When I pull up, that's a homicide, a buffet. New flame burning at the bodies like I'm Luke Kane. Looking at my eyes, I soon make your mood change. Wait, don't give a fuck. Having my escort, I'm sending them up. So what's a human that God? I'ma show you the difference between us. Enough is enough.
Got a shinobi, oh. I leave it cross like they overtow. I hit my peak like a Toblerone. I put them to sleep when they overdose. Deserted the villas, they missing me. Susan, bitch, you ain't hitting me. Stronger than all of the hidden leaf. I leave you dead in the water like Shindo.
他们会听我的名字，害怕我跑你的家里，他的爱呀，看我的眼睛，火像太阳，快点，你会打死 when you find us。哎 ，so better watch out，看我在你的家里，你家里人叫我是 Conan as great as 你小心我去为我杀死你家里，我不用我要。Yeah，whether in army or village, I'm making them scared. They looking at my abilities, they not fair. I'm a show God now, coming, someone drop down when I'm in your spotlight.
I leave him dead, look in my eyes, all you're seeing is red. No, I'm the best, I leave a body in village or red. I'm not impressed, not on my level, I'm tearing ahead. Act like a devil, I'm tearing ahead. Mess with the clan, then I'm leaving you red.
Follow me honestly, wiping out your colony. I'll be the guy when I bring out your astrology. Prodigy, probably crashing the comment. We load on my chakra, they all falling on me. Who be my foes? Few in my zone, ruling the coast. Do with me, no, 他们害怕。我是我血统的最棒的战斗机，他们知道，因为他们都抗。
Kakashi, these ninjas are half of me. I choke them like Sasuke, it's hard to breathe. I'm blasting off flames like an RPG. Watch her, I'm dodging your shots like Keanu Reeves. Sharon again, they wanna copy me. Acting like murderer, how I'm a prodigy. Even got data appraising my artistry. Kusanagi, I slice straight through your arteries.
Hey, god dang, rest of y'all villages, nah gang. You know my clan full of ass-rank Shinobis. We at Kage level, we not playing. Pull up for the fist fight, bitch type. In the opposition, finna get this red eye on. Cold with the hand sign, land mine. When I with this fireball, juice it as a dead life on.
My clan's been to hell and back. I got Mangekyou in the eye like I'm Eddie Rath. How I'm dishing up these bugs like it's Legoland. Pure blood in your eyes are a second hand. I'm a better man, I'm insane. Not a better man, don't play games. Uchiha got pride in my veins. Act like a symbol, I'm found in the flames.
Yeah, whether in army or village, I'm making them scared. They looking at my abilities, they not fair. I'm a show God now, coming, someone drop down when I'm in your spotlight.
I leave him dead, look in my eyes, all you're seeing is red. No, I'm the best, I leave a body in village or red. I'm not impressed, not on my level, I'm tearing ahead. Act like a devil, I'm tearing ahead. Mess with the clan, then I'm leaving you red. army. Ninjas, they won't harm me. Leaving a legacy, forging my memory. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Wanted to blow army, stacking my foes' bodies. Kinda hard destiny, born through the best of me. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Mediator and expert at building bridges. The Hokage, founding father, the George Washington of ninjas. I be trucking the trigger, you're only Shinobis. My focus is stronger than oak. Cause when we skirmish, you're hurting and burning you up like trees. I'm leaving you smoked, go for the throat. I'm slick, I'll leave them sticky like a sycamore. I'll sycamore, so stick it to your stigmas. Cause I'm sick of war, it's sickening. These ninjas all just dying with no given thought. I've given more to help the people battle what they're driven towards. Believe in karma, the battle born Dalai Lama. So when all the clans that we're leading are bleeding and pleading to stop it and throw down your armor. Calm on martyr, look at the wounds I cannot even mend. Let us go settle like men and meeting me at the valley of the end. Just look at my history, I'm a god. The strongest Shinobi, yeah, I'm on top. The OG Hokage, I'm number one. The end of the valley, our fight is done. Strong as a whole army, ninjas, they won't harm me. Leaving a legacy, forging my memory. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Wanted to blow army, stacking my foes' bodies. Kinda hard destiny, born through the best of me. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Strong as a whole army, ninjas, they won't harm me. Leaving a legacy, forging my memory. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Wanted to blow army, stacking my foes' bodies. Kinda hard destiny, born through the best of me. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Juice of the strongest, scary. Rep maroon is customary. Hot like Perry Perry, cause even my cells are legendary. Coming to struggles, I see you retreating, it's not gone good. Want a big trouble and think that you're beating me, knock on wood. Cracking your spine like plywood. I've seen a ton of your crimes since childhood. Got enough honor, I'm deserving of a knighthood. Stemming out a legacy and standing where I stood. I fight good, you can't even match these plans. You wanna tussle, kid, better catch these hands. Taking a peek at the history page, I am a Kami who's out of his cage. Baluchias are licking in rage. I'm bringing power, you're fighting a sage. This is my stage, greater pacifist just like a monk. But when we come to blows, don't wanna see me pop the trunk. Just look at my history, I'm a god. The strongest Shinobi, yeah, I'm on top. The OG Hokage, I'm number one. The end of the valley, our fight is done. Strong as a whole army, ninjas, they won't harm me. Leaving a legacy, forging my memory. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Wanted to blow army, stacking my foes' bodies. Kinda hard destiny, born through the best of me. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Strong as a whole army, ninjas, they won't harm me. Leaving a legacy, forging my memory. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Wanted to blow army, stacking my foes' bodies. Kinda hard destiny, born through the best of me. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Strong as a whole army, ninjas, they won't harm me. Leaving a legacy, forging my memory. Call me Shinobi no Kami. Brother, I ain't gold, I am platinum. Bout to break the mold, right and past them. Brother, I ain't gold, I am platinum. Popping like a magnum, Jojo coming at them. Big man from a bad crowd, I'm an all-star, I'm a smash mouth. You're a hit man, get your stand out. Turn a main foe to a background, better back down. Hold the track loud, give a crap how dear back now. He dared to piss me off, so I punch him till he blacks out. Jojo in the name, cause power in my birthright. Cujo, I'm a mad dog, call me Mr. Worldwide. Strike him like a matchbox, leave him on the curbside. My boys thick, clock him till they're seeing blurred lines. Stardust Crusaders in the Middle East like Lionheart. Slicing my lyrics, a rising star, I'm fading the cuts of the die is cast. I'm catching bullets, so you better toss the firearms. They're giving the villains a fighting chance, ripping to pieces, I prize apart. Leave them endangered like dolphins, I rep a PhD. They call me Full Metal Jacket, cause I got mags on me. I stopped my heart in a battle, bro, I'm a different breed. Serving you a beating, and after I hand you the receipt. Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Bout to break the mold, red and past them. Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Popping like a magnum, Jojo coming at them. Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Bout to break the mold, right and past them. Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Popping like a magnum, Jojo coming at them.
Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Don't do what they told, I'ma clap them. Brother, I ain't gold, I am platinum. Popping like a magnum. Jojo coming at them. When I step into the room, ain't nobody know what's happening. Gold up on my body, got me looking like a champion. Head up on my head, but boy, the ops can't put a cap in him. I'll set the record straight, I'm a star going platinum. This track got hella punches like my stand do, but I can't stand you, put me in a bad mood. I'm pissed off. Dio stopping time like he took batteries on my wristwatch. I just shrug it off, cause with these hands he finna get clocked. Haters tryna bug me, but I ain't Kakooine. Keep my money stashed away, I call it Hereford Green. Said I'm wavy with the flow, that's why I study Marines. POV, I'm approaching you and this ain't a meme. The world though couldn't make me froze. Ignore my foes, you couldn't make a JoJo pose. My whole game pros, wear them up like a garden hose. Trip on my clothes, but I don't mess with no brando. Hey yo!
Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Bout to break the mold, red and past them. Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Popping like a magnum, Jojo coming at them. Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Bout to break the mold, red and past them. Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Popping like a magnum, Jojo coming at them.
Brother, I ain't gold, I ain't platinum. Don't do what they told, I'ma clap them. Brother, I ain't gold, I am platinum. Popping like a magnum, Jojo coming at them.
All of you ninjas should know me. You're on a level below me. I'm like an Oni, you're a phony. Oh please, I'm one and only. Look at me ghostly, you make me ghostly. Why don't you go be something less lowly? Cause you know low-key sends you, they owe me. I'm the true goddess shinobi. Knowing that these armies alarming, it's like I'm farming the army. The souls weapon to summon. And when I'm getting better and battering bodies bad, I'm starting to potting the souls, potting them whole, crushing the skulls. I'm scary. Activate my Sharingan, make Gekiyo's eternal. Cutting out your organs so the bleeding is external. Chuck you in a minute so your face be turning purple. Ninja if a cards, it would be more like a journal. Combining chakras, my renegades activated. I've waited, now I'm reincarnated. Hatred is burning what's sacred. Never, sex bars, get a letter. Pressure, crush your center. I've got a plan of action, passion is born through endeavor. Bringer of peace, I am unleashing the beast. God move. You are deceased, now that my power's increased. God move. I can't be beat, bodies they lay at my feet. God move. Chakra release, better you wanna retreat. God move.
Bringer of peace, I am unleashing the beast. God move. You are deceased, now that my power's increased. God move. I can't be beat, bodies they lay at my feet. God move. Chakra release, better you wanna retreat. God move.
I was born into war, my brother's blood on the floor. I was a child, so it is wild that I'd be used to the gore. Never had a friend like you, didn't share my clan, you hid yours too. Sharing our stories, we're making it do. Picture a world where the fighting was through. Ending our friendship, so I have no problem when I have to kill you. I'm on a cheer, so this is where we are, and I have the will too. So even when you're putting up your life with a knife in your side, open eyes for a better world. There is never something we decide what I lie. Peace can only happen when I'm in control. Honor has a failed experiment, do you understand? Shiha are in fear, whilst the send you make demands. Take a stand, I'm coming through, you defend. I do not care if we used to be friends. What I intend, bow to descend, battle me in the valley of the end. Bringer of peace, I am unleashing the beast. God move. You are deceased, now that my power's increased. God move. I can't be beat, bodies they lay at my feet. God move. Chakra release, better you wanna retreat.
God move. Bringer of peace, I am unleashing the beast. God move. You are deceased, now that my power's increased. God move. I can't be beat, bodies they lay at my feet. God move. Chakra release, better you wanna retreat. God move.
Bringer of peace, I am unleashing the beasts. You are deceased, now that my power's increased. I can't be beat, bodies they lay at my feet. Chakra release, betting you wanna retreat. demon, Oni. I leave bloodstains in my obi. They hunt for me like Coney. Watch how they fall Calzone. I'll make them cry emoji. I'm so cool, wise and Moe. You bow to die so lowly, leave them fried and burnt like toasties. I'm a killer coming out of my cage. Look on the bright side. Pillars wanna fly in a rage, but I'm so bite-sized. Quicker when they try to engage. I'm done with nice guys. It needs to get them out of my face. Hansel and Gretel, I bring the flames. He got metal. I'm packing punches. I don't need some kind of blade or utensil. I go insane. I go feral. I change the game and the level. So feel the pain of the pedals. I smash your face. You need dental. Get on the stage and we wrestle. I'm so enchained with potential. Come with the shade like a pencil. I'll make him fade like a freckle. So come and play with the devil. I'm popping veins when I'm metal.